Hey everybody, Tony D here with you. Little Jones in the other room asleep. I don't want to bother her. She owes me though. She owes me. She should be in the video because I took Little Joan on a very long walkies today. Very long. But Little Joan runs the house. That's the problem. Anyhow, uh, smash like and subscribe, etc., etc. I am demonetized, so please join me on BitChute and Rumble, so I could get off this terrible YouTube platform forever and not have to worry about that. I was making some money on YouTube, and they took it all away. I was going up in the charts, and now nothing. Now I'm being slowly squeezed out. So help me out by subscribing to BitChute and Rumble today, or support the channel by buying one of my books, and I'll buy Joan some treats, and maybe she'll sit in her seat and actually be in a video. Now, I want to do some more politics. Hot take. Let's just call this one a hot take on the GOP. It's mostly about them. Steve Bannon has a show, in case you don't know it. It's called The War Room. He had Mike Lindell on. I can't talk about what they talked about, but it was kind of interesting. I'll just say CD Media has an article about it. But check that out if you want to learn about that forbidden topic we can't talk about on YouTube. I didn't want to do a whole video on it, but there it is. Another guest he had was Rudy Giuliani, and Bannon and Giuliani said impeaching Biden should be the GOP's first order of business after retaking the House. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's only fair. I mean, they tried to impeach Trump on nothing, and already I think Biden, you've probably got plenty of ammo to impeach him. I think you could impeach him on those executive orders alone. I think you could impeach him on the fact that he's not competent to lead. So, again, and I've always said this, impeachment is a political process. You either have the votes or you don't. You either have the political will or you don't. If the GOP wins both houses in 2022, and they should, the only question is, will the GOP have the political will? Now, people like Mitch McConnell will probably say, instead of impeaching him, let's just make him our B for the next 2 years. Some of that strategy, some of that you could say is okay. Yeah, it could be more embarrassing and more damaging to the Democrats to keep Biden in office and just keep marching over his head. I think in this case, you have to get rid of Biden. If it's Biden who's even in office by the time 2022 rolls around, I highly doubt it. I think Biden's falling apart. I don't think he could possibly last 2 years, much less his whole term. He talked about running for re-election. Are you insane? Are you insane? I think that would quite possibly kill him. I think if he stays in office, he'll be lucky to be alive in 2024, much less actually run. That does, look, being president takes a toll on your health. I'll say this for Trump. He's the one guy, doesn't really look any different. He looked a little tired towards the end, but for the most part, he seemed to hold up better than any other president. Obama just looked older. He had more gray hair. He looked exhausted. Same thing with Bush. Bush is in shape. He is the healthiest president who ever served. And even he looked exhausted by the end. Clinton did too. Although he held up pretty good, I thought. He didn't look that tired, but he looked a bit, I think I'm done. HW, he really wasn't on TV a whole lot towards the end. It seemed like, I think, that's probably partly the media trying to get him out of office, but he didn't really have much of a dynamic personality to begin with, so I couldn't really tell if he was tired or not. But definitely everybody was, except maybe for Trump. Biden, I think it'll kill him. I really do. Senator Johnson at border. VP Harris, tapped by Biden to fix border crisis, compared immigration officers to KKK. That's not cool. Harris. VP Harris. According to Johnson, as a senator, VP Harris never showed an interest in border security when serving on the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Government Reform with him. Johnson blasted President Joe Biden for delegating the leadership role in the worsening migration crisis to Harris, who has been critical of the immigration agents she will depend upon. I saw how she asked questions of federal law enforcement. These people that we do need to thank and thank their families for their service and sacrifice. She was never interested in securing the border. Instead, what she did was actually compared federal law enforcement agency ICE to the KKK. Now that a person President Biden has put in charge of solving this problem, how can you do that when you have to rely on the brave men and women of ICE, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's pretty bad. In 2018, I don't remember that. Harris has said she supports illegal immigrants getting Medicare. 2019, Harris called border security a distraction from real issues. She also said, I think there's no question that we've got to critically re-examine ICE and its role and the way it's being administered and the work it's doing. And we need to probably think about starting from scratch. That's BS. She won't do that. I know. One thing you can count on politicians never to do is cancel a government program. Only Trump maybe would have done that. Maybe. Giving them Medicare? What are you, out of your mind? Well, answer my own question. Here's more of the humanitarian crisis down at the border. This is the CBP facility in Donna, Texas. And these are pictures posted by Ted Cruz. Oof, that is Jesus. It's just one giant playpen on the floor. That doesn't seem right. Kids wrapped as burritos. Oh no, it's not good. But as always, you don't hear the media talk about this. The inflow has gotten so bad, CBP has put arrows on the U.S. side of the Rio Grande, directing immigrants to the processing facilities. Here's a picture of the migrants who just crossed the border following the arrows. Ugh. Babies handed over by smugglers. Oh, they're babies. Oh, I thought they were little kids. Holy cow. Yeah, they look a little older than babies, but still. Yeah, this is bad. This is really bad. These are kids who tested positive. Well, at least they're testing the kids for beer virus. But my God, what a mess. Again, you won't see this on the regular media because it's not a narrative. The narrative is that Democrats are wonderful, pure people who help immigrants. They can't do no wrong, according to the media. From Fox, White House appears to scrub Biden gaffe from transcript after calling Afghan president by the wrong name. That's it? That's a pretty minor gaffe for Biden. Biden also appeared to question the legitimacy of Afghan president whose election the U.S. has recognized. What? And General Austin is, we just met Kayani, and I'm waiting for the briefing on that, Biden said Thursday. But the official White House transcript now says Ghani instead of Kayani. That's a mistake, and it's one he shouldn't make. But compared to saying that he's been around for 120 years, that's pretty minor. You'd think he'd remember that guy's name because, he was vice president for 8 years, but look at him. I mean, just look at him. He looks like a skeleton. He can look at his skin's all stretched. His hair, they're just wisp. He's too old. Bill Maher's finally gotten on board. He said, we're spending like we'll never run out of cash. Well, Bill, old boss of mine, the Federal Reserve said we basically do have unlimited cash. I think it's a bad idea being a libertarian, all the money we're spending. I thought it was bad when Trump did it. But, Biden, I mean, he outright just started bribing people to vote for him. So, at least Trump could create some profits and offset some of it. You're the one that's going to be paying the taxes, I guess, but you're probably so rich it's not going to bother you, or your, accountant will find some way to hide your money. Maher said, if we're going to have a new Roaring 20s, let's not repeat the mistakes of the last one. I kept reading that America is poised for a Roaring 20s, 21st century edition, a repeat of that decade a century ago, when just like now, the United States emerged from a pandemic ready to party as if there was cocaine in the Coca-Cola, which there was. Ha ha. It's not bad. I could have done better. Bill. He later added, and looking at the economic factors right now, it feels like we're back in the headspace that will never run out of cash as long as the Fed doesn't run out of ink. I'm just saying, if we're going to do new Roaring 20s, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, we already spend too much money, Bill. I mean, Ron Paul had a great plan. He's going to cut massive amounts out of the federal government. I sincerely doubt you would support that. I mean, but that's what's needed. Real cuts. Actual cuts. Trump wasn't really doing cuts. He cut regulation, which allowed people to make more money, but, I mean, he like Obama more so, is still trying to work within a system that's broke. You have to fix that system. And there needed to be massive cuts. And look, Trump tried to bring the troops home. That's a cut. Okay? If we close down these military bases, we have almost 1,000 around the world. They cost millions of dollars to operate. You bring all those troops home, you close down those military bases, and it cuts our overhead by billions. But the Pentagon doesn't want that. And all the people making money on all those bases don't want that either. So, but it has to happen. It's going to happen one way or another. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee moves to ban public colleges from hosting Confucius Institute. Thank you. Thank you, Bill Lee. Someone has gotten sense. He says colleges and universities are a place for robust debate of ideas, not a place for foreign governments to operate in the shadows, Lee said in a recent statement. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The governor cited the need for a state to act in the wake of President Joe Biden's administration decision in February to withdraw a Trump administration proposed rule that would have required K-12 schools and universities with foreign exchange programs to reveal any connections to the Chinese government-run Confucius Institute. Better that you ban it, Bill. Better that you ban it. Take no chances with the CCP, especially now. Another state I could possibly flee to when New Jersey's socialist mecca falls apart. From the National File, breaking: Texas GOP votes to delete its Gab account after Abbott smears platform is anti-Semitic. Bad idea. And we all thought the Texas GOP was going to defy the governor. Turns out they're not. Andrew Torbo had a response. The GOP is dead. Long live American populism. And you can see the choice is freedom of speech and Gab, or some kind of platform from Facebook, and the GOP picking the wrong one. He writes, today the Texas GOP voted to delete its Gab account after Texas Governor Greg Abbott falsely maligned Gab as anti-Semitic. The vote was 35 to 25 in favor of deleting the Gab account, shows that the Texas GOP has an ongoing civil war within the party, which is reflective of a much broader situation that is unfolding at the national level in the Republican Party. Yup. The Democrats have been trying to turn Texas blue for a long time. The GOP has no problem staying on Facebook, he says. The platform is used in over half of the online child sex crimes and has over 20 million cases of child exploitation last year alone. Not to mention the mass censorship of conservatives and Christians that happens on Facebook. The Texas GOP is perfectly fine with that. Perhaps Governor Greg Abbott is transforming the Texas GOP into the party of the disgraced Lincoln Project. Ouch. Instead of the party of the American people. A poor decision. The GOP has been totally subverted by special interests, foreign nations, and big donor checks that it clearly no longer represents the interests of the American people. How did this happen? He says, woke liberal establishment subversives like Kat Parks have invaded the GOP and worked to take it down from within. When you allow even one woke critical theorist into your organization, their toxic ideology will inevitably destroy everything and anything that gets in their way. There's nothing conservative about someone like Kat Parks. As the Pedro Gonzalez of American greatness exposed, Kat Parks is as woke as they come and has no place in the American First Movement or conservatism in general, for that matter. If you see these people creeping into your local Republican Party, you best make sure they get voted out or fired immediately. Quote, we should be the party of diversity, Parks told the Tribune. We should be the big tent party. Parks oversaw a task force, she said, that recruited the, quote, highest number of women, minorities, and people under the age of 40 in the Republican Party of Texas history. She also attacked the state's GOP stance on traditional marriage, pushing Republicans to embrace LGBTQ ideology. And it goes on. Torba has he's a pretty religious guy, and some of this is a little hyperbolic, but in general, I agree with him. Greg Abbott was stupid. Why even wade into this? Why even do it at all? Why not just ignore it? In another week, it would be gone. This is how the internet operates. People go, I'm outraged. And then a week later, I'm outraged about something else. Me. They forget. The GOP in Texas is not popular enough to sustain the Twitter outrage. You just had to wait, dude. Instead, you stepped in it. You stepped on your own constituency. For what? Facebook isn't going to help you, moron. They're not going to help you. In fact, they're going to deplatform you. They're going to use the algorithm to make you lose elections. They're going to do everything they can to hurt your base. Oh, but you went with them. Smart. Governor Abbott, I don't know if he's up for re-election, what his deal is, but you're going to have to go with a different kind of Republican. I mean, jeez, what a dummy. I mean, I thought Rick Perry was bad, but jeez, what are you doing, Abbott? What are you doing? But that's the battle going on in Texas right now. 35 to 25. It doesn't look like a battle they're gonna win, but maybe some of you out there, some Texas folks, could run for office and turn the tide. Hopefully, Texas just stays red. All right, that's it. Let's move on to the next video.